Okay, so the movie is Halloween Ends, and we're going to talk about if this movie really does give us the end to the Halloween trilogy we were looking for all the way back in 2018, or does this movie not really live up to that ending we were all expecting and hoping for? So before we get any further into it, I do have a giveaway currently going for 25,000 subscribers. So make sure you're subscribed, notification bell on. The way to enter is just be subscribed, comment below you want to enter the giveaway, or go check out the giveaway video we did already to know how to get extra entries, and you'll be into the giveaway. But let's get right into this movie and if this is a worthy ending to Michael Myers. So, as we know from 2018, we knew this was going to be a trilogy. We knew they were going to deliver us a conclusive end to their trilogy. And the big thing about this movie was it was marketed as a Laurie versus Michael grand finale. And it was sort of that, but not in the way I think people were expecting it to be. So, I'm not going to bore you with so many of the plot because I think that I'm going to try to just get straight to the point with these videos and see how it goes because sometimes, people get mad when I go over the whole plot. So we're not going to do that today. We're going to go right into the ending and talk about certain things that happened as well. So pretty much we're dealing with a town that has like gone past Halloween Kills, and as Halloween Kills said it, evil dies tonight. Well, it didn't. Michael Myers proved himself to be much more than just a human in that movie and was some sort of supernatural force at best. And in this movie, it's like they go back to like, never mind, he's just the guy. And that's exactly what it felt like when we were watching this. It was like, where was this like killing machine that we saw throughout the whole entirety of Halloween Kills, especially in that one scene when everybody was getting a jab at him, even the lady with the iron that was there. It's like, where was that Michael Myers? It's like, this is a whole new other Michael Myers. Is there a legion of Michael Myers? Are we Chucky right now, where there's like different ones that have different abilities? Nonetheless, we are treated to Michael Myers that's more human, I think, than we've seen. And so we are also treated to a new character that comes onto the screen, which is Corey, who is sort of blamed for the death of this child who he actually didn't have anything to do with the death. It was an accident, all of that. But of course, the town quickly turned, and we still have this sort of like themes of mob mentality and stuff, and how that can build up and sort of turn on you in an instant. And that's what Corey sees, as the town sees him as this child killer now, and sort of has him in the same light as Michael Myers. And he's like, I had nothing to do with it. I'm not a bad guy or anything like that. But the mob is like, no, no, no. This guy, he's bad. We eventually see him also turn to Allison, of course, Laurie's granddaughter, and they start this sort of relationship. And Laurie's kind of like, I don't like this at all. I don't trust him. I think he can have these sort of like distinct features of him that sort of remind me of Myers. Allison's like, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. But eventually we see Laurier's right. Corey does, in fact, end up being like Michael because he actually comes in contact with Michael. And for some reason, Michael just looks at him and he says, this is a guy who I'm not going to kill because he reminds me of me. For some reason, they don't really go into it. But he sees that this guy's been tortured or whatever by the town. And he's like, I can help you if you help me. And so it turns into sort of like a Freddy versus Jason vibe to me, where it's like Freddy wants Jason to remind the town to not forget him in all of this. And so he uses another body, which is Jason, to go about and do his heinous acts. In this case, it's Corey for Michael, and Corey goes on this whole like rampage with Michael as well, killing and just sort of getting back at the people that he says got him and all of this like psychological damage to him and this trauma as well. So it goes into these themes about that. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Eventually, however, we do have Laurie who does come up and step up against Michael, and we see this final showdown between the two, and we eventually see that she is able to outmaneuver him. And the way this whole thing plays out is that she has him and she's able to pretty much slit his throat, slit his wrist, and then we have him just bleeding out. He's very weak at this point. And this is the part where it would usually end in the Halloween movie, and then we eventually see when the police come in to arrest him or whatever, he's gone. But this time, since it's Halloween Ends, it has to end. So they take it a step further where we see Michael being taken to Laurie's car, strapped down, and taken through this whole like funeral procession where everybody in the town and everybody just stops doing what they're doing to see the final moments of Michael Myers, where he is eventually taken to this junkyard and then he is going to be placed into this grinder of sorts. And you're thinking, okay, what's going to happen? Something's going to happen. He's going to pop up. He's going to disappear and all of this. No, he eventually does go into this grinder where he gets grounded up and he is dead now. You see it all happen. His body and everything just like completely destroyed. And that's how we pretty much get to our finale as Laurie finishes her book and everything. And a lot of the things that Laurie is talking about as well, very much so, were presented here as well, with her saying that evil can definitely take a different shape and it doesn't necessarily ever die. There's evil in a lot of people, and this eventually does come up to the top. And we saw that with Corey, as he eventually was pushed so much into a corner where he decided the only way to get to some sort of peace with himself was to take down these people who had caused him so much harm. And that is the reason that he donned the mask and wanted to become sort of Michael's apprentice. And it was kind of interesting to see that. And in a way, it's a fun idea, but at the same time, it's kind of weird at the same time that Michael Myers, who we've seen doesn't really respond to nobody and just does whatever he wants, would somehow feel this sort of compassion towards Corey and sort of know what he's been going through. And you could say it may be because he was in the sewers and for some reason he was able to have these views of what was going on with Corey and stuff. He sort of sympathized for him, but I thought it was interesting as well that he was in the sewers as well, so it felt like he was this sort of Pennywise type character as well that we hadn't seen from Myers before. I thought that was an interesting take for them to take. I thought the Corey thing was a good way to present how evil can sort of morph itself and continue on. I think that idea, if they fleshed it out a little bit more in kills and led us into this movie, it would have been done much better. But I think that Corey as a character was a character I think needed a little bit more fleshing out, because the concept, I get what they were going for, and I think it's an interesting take to take, where you have this person who is morphed by Myers and sort of gives you this Jamie vibe as well that we've seen before in the past, and it took it to a step further. But at the same time, I felt like there was so much they were trying to do with this movie also that sort of got lost in the sauce. And I think that this was sort of going to be a movie that should have just been leading into a grand finale, but at the same time they wanted it to be this grand finale, so it sort of felt rushed. And the characters, it just didn't make sense for them to be the way that they were. I think the whole concept also of killing Myers this way was interesting, because it's always something you think about when you're watching a horror movie and everything, right? You see them, they finally get a good blow on the bad guy and they're taking him down, and then they just run. You're just go and finish the job, which they actually do in this movie. But at the same time, it was I don't know, it just felt like it just happened so quick and we were just trying to run to that finish line. And I think it's an interesting concept. I think a lot of the things they wanted to talk about in this movie as well were good as well, with Laurie and her talk about evil and how it changes shape, which is funny because they call Myers the shape. And I think that had a lot of good impact as well. But I think that the ending with Myers dying finally and all of that, and also the whole idea about this thing with another killer being on the loose and him also sort of being this apprentice to Michael and learning the ropes and all of this, kind of felt silly at points, even though it sounds good on paper. But when you think about it and see it, it is a little bit silly. But at the same time, I do give him kudos for taking this risk and just giving us something different and really trying to go out there and be something completely new that we haven't seen before in the Halloween franchise. Even though these ideas have been presented in other entries, it sort of went an extra mile and took it a step further. So I give kudos to them for trying something new. I'm curious to see how this movie's going to do. It is definitely going to be polarizing, and I think in a couple of years, some of the people that might have hated it are going to love it. Some of the people that loved it might hate it. It's just going to be one of those movies, with time it's going to change your opinion on it. And I'd like to know what your opinion and thoughts are in it down below. Do you feel that this was a good way to end the series? Do you feel like this was a good way to end Laurie and Michael's whole dilemma? Because let me tell you, we are going to get another Halloween movie maybe in 5 years, and I think it's going to take a different approach, new characters, all of that. But I think Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie is definitely, this was her end, and I'm curious to know what you think about that as a conclusive chapter to her and Michael's story in the comments below. But anyways, as always, that's going to do it for me. I would do some more videos on this because there's more that I want to talk about as well. Specifically, a Corey video probably will come out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Me talking more about him, his turn as well, and everything that happens with him by the end. I will make a video just on Corey because I think there's a lot to talk about with him, as well as more on my thoughts and opinions on all of the themes as well. So stay tuned for that. As always, we're on the road to 50,000 subscribers, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, notification bell. Make sure that you enter the giveaway as well. That will run until the end of October. October 29th, we'll close it off, and then October 31st we'll announce the winner. So don't miss out on that. Check out the giveaway video as well, and I'll see all of you next time. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram as well. As always, stay safe, stay positive.